Welcome everyone. This is the Community Preservation Committee meeting, Monday, January 28th, 2019 at 6 p.m. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Item number 2, could I get a roll call of the committee members?
Charles Monas, Plan.
Jim Soul from Preservation Society.
Kristen Cantara Oliver, Historical Commission.
Jim Souza, mayoral appointee.
John Brent, Conservation.
So at the moment, we're missing Tony Dias, John Francoeur, and Victor Farias. Citizen input, is anyone signed up for citizen input? No? Mike, anyone? No. Thank you. No one signed up. Item number 4 is the acceptance of the meeting minutes of January 10th, 2019. Does any have any questions or comments on this? I do have one comment. I don't know if anybody else does. Item number 9, we talked out on the last meeting about getting deed restriction process moving forward. We voted to have a working group made, and so on the item it just says it was tabled, but we created a working group to include Jim Soul, John Francoeur, and Tony Dias, so I just wanted it to be noted to be that. Other than that, any other questions on it?
No.
Could I get a motion to accept the minutes?
I make a motion for this minutes.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item number 5 is the emergency funding for the Fall River Public Library. Could I have Chris Gallagher, and I asked Leanne from the board, or whoever's from the library board, to come up front and discuss this issue with us. So at the last meeting, we discussed this emergency application. One of our board members had asked for it to be a more historically accurate roof from the time the building was built in 1899, and we asked Chris to kind of get some information on that possibly. So I'm going to let Chris give us what information he has since the last meeting, and we'll discuss the whole issue.
So some of the stuff, I went back to the architect and asked him to try to do a little bit of research of what he thought might have been on that roof back in the day. They felt that it possibly would have been tar and gravel, is what they called it, or a built-up roof. Possibly it could have had some copper or something of that nature on it as well. But as you could see in the photos, and we did some testing on the roof. We did some core samples of that for asbestos and things of that nature. And when we did the core samples, we did find only tar and gravel. We didn't find any copper or anything of that nature under there. Also, I had the architect contacted the Secretary of Interiors, and I know that their feelings on that, if you can't kind of see it from the ground, is it's not something that they're overly concerned about. They're more concerned about if you can see it from the ground, skylights, roofing materials, things like that. They would like to see it brought back to the original of what you can determine the most that it would be, if it had slate, if it had copper, if it had those things of nature. That's the stuff that they want to see preserved and brought back. But on a roof of this nature that you can't see at all, wasn't anything that they were overly concerned about, that they could not see it. So with that, I mean, I think we were going in the right direction for a rubber roof, but we can go in any direction that the board seems fit to go with.
So the estimate changed from prior, and that you added in.
I added in, it was, we got some cost analysis when we were doing this. We try to also put in for the plaster repairs and damages that were done to the interior that we could probably do. I was kind of asked to say, why don't we go for it all and see if we can look at getting all of that done. If it's something that the board wants to entertain, we can do it right after the roof is being done. I sat with the architect. We went over it a couple of times, different scenarios of what we would do. We're doing what we feel would be a full-on painting of the total ceiling instead of just painting the areas of damage and trying to blend it in. Would be doing a total restoration of that ceiling of that nature, as well as any other ceiling that was down below that. The only other ceiling that was affected was a drop ceiling in the Bookhouse store. It doesn't have a plaster ceiling, it's just a drop ceiling in that particular area. There was an area by the ramp that it might have leached through the ramp a little bit and had some staining and peeling of a paint in that one area where the ramp is, so we would do that entire ceiling to get that done, and anything else we could get done in that particular area that might have been done to the
One thing I
damage.
forgot, I'm remiss, if you could just state your names and your departments are.
Chris Gallagher, Facilities Director for the City of Fall River.
Jim Gibney, Vice Chairman of the Library Board of Trustees.
And Leanne Verville, the Library Director.
One thing I'm going to bring up, I said I would contact the Community Preservation Coalition in Boston and ask them the question that you just talked about, the roof itself. And he actually didn't know enough on the subject, so he referred me to Jeffrey Gagno of the Preservation Massachusetts in Boston. And I'm just going to read you what I wrote to him and what his response was. And it's pretty much what you said, actually, but I'd like to just read it for the record. So I put, "Hi Jeffrey, I was given your contact information from the Community Preservation Coalition. I have a question regarding a public building roof replacement. A CPA application has been submitted for a certain 1999 public library. Currently, the roof has a rubber membrane that has outlived its usefulness. The roof cannot be seen from the street at all. However, the 4th and 5th floor of a 5-story building adjacent to the library, occupants can look down on it. With these circumstances, does the roof have to be replaced to the original 1899 materials, or can it be replaced with a rubber roof membrane again? I know we have to use Secretary of Interior standards when doing preservation work." So his response was, "Thank you very much for reaching out to me via the Preservation Mass Circuit Rider Program. This is an interesting case. My personal take on this would be that since the original roofing material no longer exists and the roof is not generally visible from the public way except for a few people who might look down on it from the adjacent building, that you would be allowed to use CPA funds to replace the existing rubber membrane roof with a new rubber membrane roof. I know of many historic buildings, including at least one National Historic Landmark, that use modern rubber membrane roofing on high roofs that are not visible from the street. In a perfect world where money was no object, determining what the original roofing materials were on the library and then replicating them might be more ideal. However, keeping water out through installing a watertight new roof, even one using modern materials, is a critical preservation activity that protects the historic fabric." It sounds like you have consulted with Stuart Saginaw of the Community Preservation Coalition, so if his advice seems to contradict what they might have said, please let me know. I'd be happy to discuss it further. So pretty much using the membrane roof is sufficient. So that's through them. But I just wanted to read that so anyone could hear that.
Well, also, an issue like this came up with the Historical Commission because we had an issue of a roof also that you couldn't see from the street come up, and when we had done research into the Secretary of Interior standards, we found the same information, was that if you can't see it from the street, then they do give you leeway as to you don't have to restore it back to the original, and you can use
Using more modern materials helps protect, I think, a little bit better. The maintenance when you go to the copper roofs and stuff, and what it is for the craftsman to install this. I think that you're using the newer technology, the newer products works very well. Again, if you could see it from the street, then I would say, by all means, let's try to go back to what that original state was, and at least try to bring it back to that. But when you can't see it, you know, let's stay with the modern technology and do what we can. This roof lasted 33 years, so I know that the board's thing is that it should last 30 years. We're hoping that it will last longer because there wasn't a whole lot of preventative maintenance back then. You know, this is 30 years old, so go back 10, 20 years, there was no preventative maintenance. So now going forward, we're hoping to have that preventative maintenance. We're putting things in place in my department to
Is that
have
part
that.
of the community compact? Like, once this is done, what is the recommended maintenance on this building?
It's going to be a minimum of 4 inspections a year, definitely in the fall and spring. You get your leaves that are falling and things like that. The other thing is you do during the nesting season up there with the seagulls and things like that to keep up on them with the grasses and the bones and the shells and stuff. We're going to try to do things to prohibit them from nesting up there, but they're a migratory bird, so you got to be very careful of what you do. You have to go with what wildlife preservation says that you can do to discourage them from nesting there. But that's going to be some of the things that we're going to try to do when we do these. These are the things that we're going to do to be proactive in making sure that that roof lasts longer than the 33 years than it has now.
Now, this City of Fall River owns that building, correct?
That's correct.
Does anybody have any questions for Chris or the library board?
No, I had, I know you had given me, because I had gone down and I had taken a tour and Leanne had showed me around, and one of the papers that you gave me had said something about even there being a design flaw in the original roof.
That was correct.
That had caused problems throughout, so even at that, even like to
In the
consider
original, correct.
looking to put back the original, there were design flaws in that had caused problems throughout the whole life of
And
that.
some of them, I think they actually changed in '86, where you can go, that some of the skylights were framed and boxed off.
Yeah.
There was the big one that they maintained because that's the foyer area when you walk in, that allows that leaded glass ceiling to light up, and that sometimes even in the summertime, we have to go up there and put a little blue tarp up there because it gets too hot in that lobby. You can't keep the air conditioner going in it. But that area, they redid that skylight, and that's all brand new, but there was some smaller skylights that they actually boxed them in and stuff to try to, the way that the roof pitches and went into the skylight wasn't stopping snow, wasn't stopping rain, it butted right to it and just allowed the water to pour in. It was almost impossible to keep it out. So you could see where they've reframed some of those in the back stairwells and stuff from when they did some fire exits in that building.
Any other
I
questions?
have a question. I know you come here to us for emergency funding, but doesn't the city of Fall River have a pretty good little kitty for emergency funding and stuff? I mean itself, I know it needs the job done, but, coming to us, when the city themselves got money that they can put toward that, because it's their building. That's what I don't understand.
I don't either, so.
I mean, the meeting there was, you had the city administrator come down. She kind of explained to you what their budgeting was and what they were trying to do. We had it in the capital plan. Again, we thought that we could get another year out of it. The capital plan had gone out a year from when we started it, because by the time we finished the plan and when we thought we could be, we were actually another year past. So it put us another year. So to wait another year on this, that was in our capital plan to do, it's a year from now. So to go after that building in a year from now is, frankly, it's not gonna work. We were hoping that that would have already been in place, but.
Why couldn't, so there's capital plan projects for this year already? And that couldn't be switched out?
Well, at the time, we were thinking that, again, when we were doing it, we were thinking that we could actually stop the leaking that we did. We've done a lot of patching up there. We've gone up there. We've had a couple of professional companies there. We've had a couple of, I would even say he's professional, Mr. Cabral from the school department, who's fourth generation roofer. In that we went up there. We've actually stopped it for a short time, but it came right back. Like I said, we thought that we could do this sort of stuff to be able to prolong it and do this, because when you look at the roof, it looks in good shape.
Back to Charlie's question, the city has not even a penny to add to this, not a penny. correct?
Right. Right, as the Kathy Ann had explained, and again, like I said, there's some projects that I'm gonna take on that I'm going to do to help.
One question, and nothing related to this, it is a project coming before us at another meeting, but the Vietnam vet wall at the Bicentennial Park, didn't the city say they were gonna give that project $300,000? Or am I incorrect?
I wasn't
I
involved in
could be
that.
wrong, but I'm not sure if anybody knows
I
this.
don't know
or-
what you said.
I think it was a
Yeah,
decent amount, yeah.
300,000, yeah, you're right.
So they literally have said they would give money, $200,000 to a wall, to a monument, which is fine, and it's, respectable and all that stuff, but it's like, how do they, like, at the drop of a hat, find $200,000 to, like, say we're gonna help fund the wall? Another wall. But we don't have money to fix this 1899 building that is like so heavily utilized. I'm even embarrassed to say that the last time I was in there was almost as a child, and I just finally went in when I wanted to look at this, like within a month or so ago.
Right.
So it's like I'm ashamed to say it. My mother used to bring me there every freaking week, and it's a gorgeous building.
Gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely
so
beautiful.
it really is something worth of preservation.
Can I just say something? So, I want to say that I'm prepared to support this. I'm glad it came back actually as an emergency request. And it's not fair to you guys that you almost get stuck in this little political thing. It just, I think for the most part, it's just disturbing that something this important, and we kind of all knew that there was something going on in the library for
For a while.
more than a year, for a while. So that's the political stuff you're hearing, and you shouldn't have to deal with that. I'm sorry.
At the same time too, like, but even the library, we don't know anything about the library board, the library trustees, we're not familiar with that. Like, I mean, there's no funds available to the library, correct?
We have 3 boards. We have a library, Friends of the Library, which raise money by selling used books. So they don't have a lot of cash flow, and what we rely on them for is very important, is the programs that we do. They support mostly the programs, the children's programs, adult programs, and they help with buying stuff that we wouldn't be able to buy because we don't have any capital money in the money directly. Like recently, they just bought me 7 chairs for the computer room. So that's what they do, and they don't have a lot of cash fund. The Library Foundation is a board that raises money every year, and again, they use it specifically to help assist the library, whether it's programs or book trucks, bookshelves, stuff that the city would have to buy for us if we didn't have this fund. So they raise money for that. And donors give it because they're expecting it to go towards things, resources that the library needs, whether it's an electronic resource or
Makes
not.
sense, all of that makes
The
sense.
library trustees, they oversee the trust funds and oversee the city municipal money. We don't have the capital money in the library budget, so they overlook the trust funds, but our trust funds are designated. When we were given these trust funds, we have a few of them specifically for reference resources. Another one is specifically for science and medical
So
resources.
it's the trust funds that are like specific
Correct.
departments or whatever
Right.
parts of the library.
We do have one trust fund that we recently used, was the historic facade. There's only $9,677 in that. And what I was looking to use that money for was to landscape the front of the building, and it's not even enough. So that's all we have that would be
Yeah.
appropriate to use on the building. The rest of it is mainly to support us in our resources,
Makes sense. Okay.
to benefit the community. That's what they are intended to do.
Chris, I'm for the project, but like, and I know the city's free cash they want, but with this, you're gonna drain almost all of our free cash, so if another emergency comes up, we're gonna be short. Could you, you raised it to 375, is there any way in your budget you could take plastic?
Yeah, I could take her on the plaster and the painting. I was just asked if we do it all at once. I would do that over a period of time. Actually, my guy's in there and has been in there for quite some time now, painting all the stairwells, painting all of the walls, touching up all those things. He's actually cleaned up the 2 areas, or one of them, he's working on the second one, on what you saw the first time you guys went in there. If you'd go in there, you'll see one side is all clean now. You'll still see the hole, you'll see the outline of the plaster that he scraped off, but it's all been painted, it's clean, you don't have the brown streaking and all that, and that's what we're trying to do, keep it clean, a little bit more appealing to the eye until we can get that corrected. Once we get that corrected, then we can work on getting a professional plastering company coming in, historic, somebody in nature, because we just don't want just anybody throwing plaster up there and that it comes down later. So they're gonna have to put in the wire mesh and all of that. But yeah, I could do that. And that's some of the things that I'm.
Like a good time period where it's not like we do the roof and then.
No, I'd like to do it almost simultaneously, like, so when they get, a half roof done, then they're on that half, and we know that that is, stopped, and that we can start that process with that.
I don't wanna leave the library hanging looking,
No, we want to start it right away. I mean, that was my plan. That's why the first time I went was for just the roof. My plan was to go after that. And again, that's why I've had my guy there for so long doing the stairwells and stuff. There was a lot of painting that needed to be done, chairs rubbing against walls, things like that it was time. So I sent him in there, and he's been at it for a little while, and he's doing a great job over there, cleaning it up and touching all the walls and bringing it back.
Anyone else have any questions or comments? I have a few, so,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
if I might, I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Fall River, and unlike you, I lived close to the library growing up, and I spent quite amount of time as a high school student, and even more so going to college. I was not from one of those families that had a lot of money, so I had to commute to college every day, and I can tell you that during my 4 years of college, I went to the library every single day to study. I first of all want to thank this board for just hearing us out and just a willingness to understand what we're going through. The library was modernized, was built in 1899. I don't know if you know this, but now that we've closed a lot of schools, for well over 30 years, I was a teacher and administrator in the Fallville Public Schools, and now we've just gone through an outstanding renovation, rebuilding program. So some of the schools that were older than the library are no longer in use. The school on up near the old casino, the old Diamond Vogue School, was built in 1868 and only went out of utilization about 10 or 15 years ago. But in 1995, thereabouts, we went through, 2001, the library went through a total renovation and rehabilitation of the building, spent millions of dollars. It is today an absolutely beautiful building, probably the oldest and most beautiful building that the city of Fall River owns. And I've been on the board for 6 years. Mayor Flanagan appointed me, and current mayor reappointed me to the board. And it has been sad for me and other trustees to go to the monthly meetings and to see the deterioration of the ceiling area due to the problems with the roof. And knowing and recognizing that we don't live in the richest city of, in Massachusetts, and that certainly there are legitimate priorities. I won't debate, I don't know enough about it, but certainly a lot of those projects probably more needy than the library. But I don't know if you've ever seen above the door, next time you ride or walk by the library, look above the doors, it says the People's University. And I don't know if you know this, but the library in Los Angeles, they just came out with a brand new book called The Library Book. And I recommend to a lot of you, fascinating about the development of the Los Angeles library system. But we had to several years ago close the East End branch because we just did not have enough funding for all three libraries. We've been able to maintain the main library downtown and the library out in the south end. And I can tell you, we have an outstanding staff led by Leanne who do an incredible job. And it's kind of sad, not only from a community point of view, that we are seeing that building deteriorate day after day after day. But what the staff has to go through in terms of, they don't know what to expect when they show up in the
Technical
morning.
things, yeah.
So I can tell you that as a lifelong member of the city, there are literally thousands of people who over the years utilize the library. And we have seen since we closed the East End, our circulation of books, e-books, computer material, the use of computers in the library has increased dramatically. And you would be doing this community an amazing justice by finding a way, and I've already heard some of you say, and I thank you that you support this project. I cannot think of anything when it comes to preservation, at least from an historical point of view, that is more valuable or more needy than that library. And I hope the rest of you feel the same way that a couple of you have already expressed. This is money well spent that, other than educational programming and facilities, there is nothing that benefits the youth and the adults of Fall River more than the library. So hopefully the rest of you will feel the same way we do. And again, I just want to thank you on behalf of everyone connected with the library for your willingness to undertake this project. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you want to say anything, or
No, I think it's well said.
any other comments, or?
Just one last thing, I think, in the meantime, the roof is done. If you need any of those Herbert Millers to be stored anywhere,
Oh, you got a spot in your house? Okay.
Yeah, no, I concur with you. I mean,
Thank you.
as a child, my mother brought us every single week. I remember vividly going with my library card and getting books and returning them and getting new ones. So, I mean, I was very impressed even when I went that day. Like you say, I have to commend your staff. They were so helpful, even just with my minor questions that I had. They were very professional. They were young, professional, helpful. I mean, I was impressed even by that. I mean, impressed by the entrance as you go in, the whole structure.
It's
I mean,
beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's a
Yeah.
spectacular building. I totally agree with you. I do have to read a couple of quick comments here. In the application, under community needs, we wanted the applicant to explain how this project addresses needs identified in the city existing plans. The city is aware of the importance of the need to preserve its historic resources. An organizational study conducted by Edward Collins Jr. Center for Public Management in July 2017 addresses significant funding required to preserve the many historical buildings that reflect the culture and heritage from which the city of Fall River was built. Time and lack of attention in the area of historic preservation has affected the Fall River community. Awareness is at the forefront. This is from the city of Fall River. Awareness of preservation is at the forefront, and the opportunity is now to safeguard Fall River Historical Foundation. This is city-stated comments. So, I mean, obviously, it's disappointing that the city is not doing what they say they're doing. That's one comment. Another comment that I had, the community city endorsement, the national level of support is very high at this time by the city. Yet they choose to neglect this building, I think. I'm in total support of this project. I'm disappointed with the city, our administration, for not even giving us a penny for this. I think it's really an important building to preserve. As one person, I'm totally in support of it. I'll tell you that this board, in our fund right now, we have $478,480.19 in reserve. If we use the money here for this, we're left with $103,430. So our money goes down too, our funds go down. But you know what? This is an important project, it's an important building, and I am in full support of this
Thank
project.
you.
But again, I'm gonna reiterate, I'm disappointed with the city for not giving one penny towards this project. So with that being said, the board can say whatever else they'd like.
I like to say one thing. I'm for this project too, don't get me wrong. It's just I'm very upset that they got like 3 million, maybe more, sitting around as free cash, and they don't take care of their roofs. They don't PM properly. This has been going on for 4 years with everything in the city. They should stop. doing the right thing, and they ain't.
Correct.
They keep on bullying over and over, and they ain't getting the right things done.
I'll
So I
second that
fully-
comment.
I love that library, and it's nothing against that. It's just I'm feeling that they got this guy's hands tied, like he's in jail or something, and they don't put the funding out that they should be doing to PM these buildings properly. And if they don't get PM after this, or if they're in the PM program, they're going, like Mr. Gallagher says, like the proper sticky stuff on the roof so the seagulls don't want to stay there and stuff. It ain't gonna happen. Those seagulls can ruin the roof in no time. So I know, Chris, what you're going through, but it's a shame that they got this cash and they don't put it in the right place in your hands. Something for emergency, you should have emergency funding thing where you can go right to, and if you see a hole in the roof, that you should be able to fix it right away. But that roof's beyond repair, it needs a total rubber roof. And I'm in support with you.
Thank you,
I'm
Chairman.
very upset
Thank you.
with the city of Fall River.
I am
that
too.
they got free cash and they are not spending it in the right place.
I
Thanks,
second
Chuck.
Charlie's thoughts.
I will third that.
All around.
So, I mean, if anybody has any comments or not, we can somebody want to make a motion.
I'll make the
now,
motion that we.
Do we wanna just fund the roof?
Fund the roof.
Or
I fund the whole
thing?
project.
Someone make a motion.
Fund the whole, I make a motion to fund the whole thing.
In the
This
amount,
ain't gonna get
in the
the
amount of,
375.
Yeah.
I second that.
so we have a motion to fund this project with a, as stated in the application, for $375,050. We have a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
Jim, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I mean, I'm glad we're able to do it. I'm sad that the city is not willing to do anything for a building that they own and such a historical, you're exactly right. Built in probably one of the oldest buildings that the city owns at this point.
It is the oldest.
To
And one
see,
of the most stunning, if you.
it is. I mean, but I was
It
so
is.
impressed by how many people on the computers in the.
It's very
stacks.
active.
I mean,
All
Very
the time.
And I went at like 8 o'clock at night, so it was
Oh,
late,
towards
but it
the
was
end of the
still
night.
very full.
Wow.
So I mean, I can imagine during the day, but I mean,
It's busy.
It's
Even
busy.
the programs, because I go to some of the programs that are there, and there's always a lot of people there.
Well,
There's
this
always-
past Saturday, we had two children's program, well, a family program, it was called Breaker Space. We had about 30 people attend that one, and then 2 hours later, we had a slime project, which was over 100 people attended the program. So we do have a lot of foot traffic coming in and utilizing the library and attending the programs. It's heavily used by the community, so
Yeah,
they're
for sure.
coming in.
Yeah. Well, I do have a question, Chris. So now, do you have to go out for that RFP for like, so I'd like one board member to be on that process. Would anybody here want to be on this? All right, so when I assign Chris, so I'd like her to be a part of this process. I want her to be, as it's going through, as you're going through.
Yep, as we're active and we're going through it, and
I'd like her to be aware and part
we'll
of.
set up times and meeting which is convenient for you. Most of the times, it's any time, you know, especially when we start doing the RFP process. Then the bidding process, you can get all of the
Okay.
information and all of that stuff as soon as it's processed through the purchasing department. We can email her or bring it to her, copies and stuff like that, so.
Okay. Any other?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
On behalf of the residents of Fall River and the Patient Library, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, it's definitely, this is city funds by the residents of the city, so it's going to their.
Right back.
Causes, so it's good.
It's going
Thanks
to their
again.
university.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you saw it because I brought some things in, and I didn't see it the other day. And it was a little bit left.
Oh,
Done
downstairs,
today.
I got them downstairs in the electrical room, I believe.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, item number 6 is signs. So I actually took a tour of every single location that we've had applications for, that we've awarded funds to. The only one I'm gonna need Chris to help me on, I meant to go by it, and each time I forgot, was the Veterans Center. Is there a sign there? I
There is.
did not go by that.
There is not, there wasn't enough signs. I think we have a
Okay.
4x8 sign, 2 4x8 signs left downstairs. in
And
the
that's it?
electric-
I meant
that's
to
it.
ask you that too.
All of the small ones, like I got them at Bank Street,
Right, I
at
have
the
a list
Derby
of
House,
them
I
all,
got
but what do you have in storage here? Just
2 4x8s, just the big ones.
2 4x8s in storage, just the large ones. Okay. Yeah, because I went by, we're gonna go through each one now, so, thank you. So I'll go through this quickly and we can decide whether we want a sign there, eliminate the sign, or leave it. So the first one, Abbey Grill, has no sign. That project was done several years ago. Do we want to put another sign back up there?
No,
Road work.
There's no sign there?
No,
not anymore.
no,
It was, but it's gone.
no, it's not.
It's done.
So I don't know where it is, but it's not
To
there.
improve the eyesight there, but. I wouldn't put
The
that.
forward I'm gonna go through each project, even though some don't apply. Forward Preservation Society survey, historic structures, that doesn't apply. Because Cusco Square was designed with the East Main streetscape, so there's, it's kind of, we're getting the funds back from that. That one doesn't apply. King Philip Mill, half of it being torn down unfortunately, so obviously that one doesn't apply. Columbus Park surprisingly has no sign, so I think that one does need a sign. And what size? I think probably the large one there.
I'd say large.
Yeah,
I'm surprised there wasn't.
yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah.
There's
The
not even a big sign for the park, there's just a little tiny
Yeah.
sign for the park.
The North Burial Ground, they're still in the process with Mike Keane, the Civitex now, to do the little house. I don't know what exactly
Is
the name
there
of
work
the house
started? I
is.
haven't seen it work.
There isn't, but should we
Oh,
put a
yeah.
sign up because of the process is in the, we could have a sign possibly made and ready to go,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'd do that.
So I'll just put large, so we'll know how many signs we need to make. Oak Grove
You want that to be
Cemetery,
a 4x8 as well?
well, we're gonna, the large
Hold
sign,
off.
Really?
should it be the small one or the big one?
Oh, no, you're gonna decide on the size anyway.
Should that one have the large
I
size?
don't think a large, I think a large
Small?
would be kind of.
That's fine, we'll put small. Oak Grove Cemetery, that's pretty much done. It had a sign at one point, there's no sign there now, so I don't think we need a sign. South Shore Kennedy Park, that's the design stage thing, so we really don't need one there at the moment. Fall River Preservation Society, historic structures, not applicable. Dr. Fisk's.
The Florida Historic Society? Oh, no,
No.
that's the next house up.
Yeah,
that's the next
no.
house.
The Dr. Fisk house, we recently acquired that, it never had a sign. I'm thinking we probably should put a small one for a little while. The Vietnam Southwood Tupper Pond doesn't apply, the East Bay Bike Path doesn't apply to a sign. Bank Street Armory still has a small sign.
Small sign, yeah.
Should we leave it? It's been there a while, should we take it away?
It's done, right?
Yeah,
What do
it's
you
done.
think? Should we leave the sign or take it away?
I would say
Take it away and
take
give it to
it
the
and put
Fisk
it
House.
somewhere else.
Okay.
Put it at the Fisk House?
Yeah, why not?
Cause I think you're probably not getting a whole lot of traffic by the armory at this point.
Alright.
Bank Street-
Southwood.
Is the Bank Street Armory done?
the-
Yes.
The roof.
From the
Yeah.
CPA aspect.
Yeah.
So what are they gonna do with it? I mean,
That's another story.
oh,
Story for another day.
That's
Yeah.
another 12.
Yeah.
There could be kids playing basketball league there or something. You know what I mean?
No, we don't want kids to play anything there.
Why not?
We just like it vacant. That's
Oh,
much better.
Jesus.
No, that's a bad
They could
idea.
have leagues.
Southwood Tupper Bike Path, that doesn't apply. Homestead Fountains, fountains. I don't know if we should put a sign at each fountain or not put a sign at all at a
Nah.
fountain.
No.
So, anyway, I'm just going through
Yeah,
the
no.
projects. The Maritime Museum, which we did funding for, and they're requesting it, there's no sign there. I think there was one at one point. There wasn't? Being that the project is done, the past project, should we bother putting a sign? Or,
We got more stuff coming up,
Yes.
or?
they do, but it's not funded yet.
Let's wait.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll go.
So, Fall River Fire Museum has no sign, which is very surprising.
Should put one
It
there.
should have a
There's a big
sign.
one there.
Should be a large, there's no
Definitely
sign.
should have a sign.
Big one.
Two big ones, Chris.
Academicus Club, which the roof was done, has no sign. It's done already, so, now, but then they have the funding for the
Right.
elevator,
Yeah,
so
they should have
probably
a
should have a small sign. North Park existing study doesn't apply, Sanborn Maps doesn't apply, Elks Lodge, the windows are done, so, and there's no sign there.
No.
Lafayette Durfee House has a small sign,
Have a
we're gonna
sign.
leave it there. For Recreation, surprisingly, has no sign. There's two things going on with them, so they should have a sign.
It's the one on.
For Recreation on Rock, yeah. So probably a small sign there?
Yeah, I would say small signs.
Yeah, I could put it right on there, 4x4. They got signs out there with CD Rec and that.
Yeah.
We can put it right on that sign.
Children's Museum has no sign, and that project is
They're done.
completed,
They're done.
so. Florida Historical Society still has a small sign, they just finished their last project, so I don't know if we should remove it, leave it. What do you think, board?
Remove it in the summertime.
Yeah,
Okay.
take it,
After
you know, it's
after we-
leaning over right now, so maybe just
Yeah,
come
after
down
we
for a
approve
while.
other projects, we'll
Cook
take it.
Pond
Take it
Wall-
down?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll take it down, we can put it at CD Rec.
perfect.
All right, move to CD Rec. Cook Pond Wall, that's still in the process of being worked on. I mean, with Civitex, there's no sign there at all. Should we wait until?
Yeah, when they
process?
start actually doing the work, we can put some 4x4s right behind it, put it right in the middle of the wall, we can
Okay.
do a 4x8 there.
Man murals, it's interior, really no sign for that. School administration building, we did the roof, it's all done, it never had a sign. Should we still put a sign just to say we did it?
No.
No.
Are they doing the handicap?
That just finished too. We could just say it, I think we should put a small sign there. I mean, it can just sit there for like 6 months, just to say this
Yeah,
is.
but there, till we
Who else
decide
knows that
on
we
the
did
other
it?
projects.
That's true.
I think we should put one.
Yeah.
Okay. Small sign?
Yeah, small's good. Veteran Center, no sign, that's all, that's finished.
They're done too, right?
Yeah, there was one there.
Yeah, they have.
Central Fire Station, there's no sign for that one. The roof is in the process of being worked on, so maybe we can
Yeah,
get.
it'd be going out far, if you, a little tough to put over there, there's no real place to,
Yeah.
without attaching it to the building or
Yeah,
something
don't
like
do
that,
it.
there's no real place to.
We don't wanna wreck the building.
No, we don't, there's really no,
And you don't
without
want it
drilling
in
into the
way of
brick and,
firemen either.
yeah, there's no real place to.
Cause it's
Yeah,
just.
so I
Chief's
get it.
car?
Yeah, no, Chief's car, oh, you can make magnets?
Yeah, we don't wanna wreck the building.
No, put it on the side of the fire engine.
Alright. Okay, you can drive around the city with us, Chris, right?
Yeah.
Front of the fire, that'd be awesome.
No, it wouldn't be.
Come on, said from a fireman. Joseph Green should get a sign. There's none.
Small or
sign.
large?
I think, what do you
Small.
think? Small.
It's not a big
Uh,
green to begin with, so small.
The granite wall at Kennedy Park, that's in the work process, so we'll wait until that one is starting in the process to have something there.
Chris.
We'll start in the spring, we're not gonna do it.
The Little
It's
Theater.
Too cold for the mortar.
The Little Theater has no sign, they're just using their funds for their study report now, but still there is funds that we're giving towards them, and we
I'd
can,
install fire, because they're another one that they don't have ground to install something. So why don't
Okay.
we wait until, and then plus they just withdrew their application for this year.
Yeah,
Why don't we wait a year?
Yeah.
yeah, okay. The Eagle Event Center,
because you're gonna have one right at the green anyway, which is right where the.
I don't know on that.
Eagle, no.
Yeah, there's no place there either without drilling it into the building.
Pulaski Park Splash Pad has a small sign attached to the fence. That one I can't wait to look into, there's nothing happening there, like, I don't know what's.
It's all done,
The splash pad is all finished?
all done,
I must have gone without my glasses on.
It's
done.
small,
Well,
it's small.
It's just like the
Well, it's
Chupac
so
one, they're
small, you
identical.
can't even see it. It's-
I guess, I'm like, wow, when I look
Yeah,
at the
that's
entire
what it
thing,
is.
I'm like, I'm looking with my
It's a
binoculars,
splash
and I'm like, where the hell is this sign?
They ain't no
Wow,
big, building.
really? I gotta go back.
So right where the sign is at the
It was a
front,
little dark, but still, and I'm older.
go
but,
back towards the baseball field, so right where the sign is when you drive up.
Right
like
there.
you're driving right on Warren, go
Isn't
down
there like
Pulaski.
Chris, when did that one finish?
This past fall, we finished it, because
Good
we
job.
started a little late.
Let's leave it up for this year.
We'll leave that small sign up, and I gotta go look some more. Okay?
Get some bifocals.
Yeah, I'm gonna, and definitely, thank you, Charlie.
No, thank you.
Can we get CPA funds for bifocals?
I got a couple.
Kennedy Park Splash Pad, there's a massive sign still
That
there,
was
that's
still
for
there.
sure. And the Armory has a small sign there. So, the
Where's the splash
Bioreserve,
Yeah, we
pad?
said we were gonna.
Yeah.
We were moving that to the Fisk House, the Armory.
Bioreserve, we're just gonna have Mike wear like a CPC sign on his back when he goes, we're gonna have a T-shirt made for him when he's doing his walks to carry that instead.
That's a good idea.
Do you have them, Will?
We don't know whether
I know, I
to.
wrote
We're
it
gonna,
down.
I'm
You
gonna
have-
want,
yeah.
we're gonna want a new.
So-
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
As far as making signs then now, we're gonna move two, so we still have two small, so according to this, we need two large and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 small. So
We have plenty. We have plenty of the old ones still,
so we have 2 large still,
Mhm.
right? So we need 6 small ones.
and you have those.
I thought
They're already up
No,
in places.
oh yeah, they're up in places, but they're leaving them.
we're leaving them.
So if they wanna have some
what-
for the
so
future
we
for newer
really need to
projects,
buy-
and you're
get
gonna leave
6
them there
more
for a while, you
signs.
need a few.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because do you want one on the library?
Good idea.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely library.
Yes, now that we have
Oh,
that,
yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea. We'll do,
That
Well,
should
what
be a
you've
big
done,
one.
we welcome that.
yeah. So we should do a large one for there. So,
So they could 4x8.
Yeah.
So Chris, you have,
Yeah, you could put that right on.
you have two large ones, right?
You think
That would
that's,
be obnoxious, do you? I think the 4x8 in front of the library is obnoxious.
You think so? You want a
Yeah,
small
yeah,
one?
yeah.
You
It
think-
can
I
go in
think
the
that
front, yeah, it
building's
can go
so
in the
nice.
front.
It's so pretty.
We'll do
I
small.
like to see
Yeah,
the
we'll do small.
landscape.
So that'll be 7. So you said you had 2 large, so
I
that'll
have 2
that'll
large
take
down
care of
there, and then
that.
we're gonna take 2 and move them.
Yep,
so we're
but then
good
we'll
there.
still need 7 others.
Yes.
So, and then Kristen took pictures, I believe,
Mhm.
right?
Yep, I gotta send you the pictures, but I
And
have.
then what I'll do is I will send them, and I will meet with Linda Baker. If you tell me how many you want of what size, I'll do that
7
tomorrow.
small.
7 small.
Do we want any more large, or we wanna wait?
No,
till
because
we-
he has 2.
What's coming up
And-
on the new project?
Do you wanna take Kennedy Park? You haven't done nothing for a while, that may sit a little while. You wanna take that one? That's a 4x8. You wanna take that one? That's been done,
Because
yeah.
that's been.
Yeah.
That's been done for a while, and that might be on hold for a
Yeah,
little while.
so just the 7 small is what we're gonna need
Okay,
with the new photos.
all right.
But I mean, we can still use the old signs with the old photos.
Just to let you know, we had said to put a photo of Columbus Park on there. It's not highly photogenic. I mean, I took some pictures and they just don't photograph well. for
Columbus Park's tough to take a picture
Recreation,
of.
yeah, I mean, I took it like sort of from the back,
Yeah.
looking down at the bocce.
So what are you
know,
saying, like,
from-
don't
like
use
in
it?
front of the church. Yeah, if maybe there's another
Buy one of those
recreation
drones,
that would.
have a
Well,
drone.
Can we use
why
CPF
don't you,
funds for that?
is it, don't, in the old sign,
Stagecoach.
isn't South Park or Kennedy Park on it already? So, I
Stagecoach
mean,
is.
we've got the wall there, we've got the splash pad there, so
Just keep
the
it.
South Park.
Cause I did,
Keep it.
I also, I have the Fisk
a good
House,
picture.
and I
On
have,
the-
the Oak
On the
Grove
pool, we'll
Cemetery
keep it on that
Arch.
pool building.
Well, no, I'm saying on the, because we're having new signs made with a couple of new pictures. But I mean, on the old sign is the picture of Kennedy
Pavilion.
Park's overlook, so we'll just leave that photo on the new sign.
And then we'll add the Fisk House, Oak Grove, and the Bio Reserve?
Yeah, you have the bioreserve, right?
Yep.
And I
Yeah,
have
Terry
Fisk
sent me
House and Oak
nice,
Grove to,
and then-
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so 7 new small ones is what we're gonna need.
Okay, so
I mean, it's
I'm-
unfortunate, cause we did put so much money into Columbus Park, but it just doesn't photograph well. It's
Are you
very.
gonna vote on that?
Sorry.
You wanna know where do you would like to put that? So we bury it in the ground and put a sign there for
Of
the
which one?
Columbus?
What,
Yeah, I
We'll-
mean,
we'll
I would
talk
put
about
it
it
on
when they-
Bedford Street so everybody can
Too
see
bad
it.
we did.
Yeah.
yeah,
Those-
Bedford Street, right, sort of like
Nice.
center of
Decap's
the
got a
the
drone.
baseball diamond.
It's gonna find out where he's working, because he's working on that fence on that
Right,
side.
well, he's not working on the first base side.
Well, he is working on the first base side, the extending the fence out.
Yeah.
And then I think he's doing right at the end of the foul of first base, they're raising that little section there, or fixing that
Yes,
section,
you're right.
because there's the phone box or something there, it was to protect that box,
Mm-hmm.
it was bouncing off that box. So they were doing something there, so maybe on that corner right on Bedford, that he's not touching anything right there, so we could probably do
Okay.
something right
We could
there.
have it face Marzilli, so when everybody goes in and out, they see the sign.
Could do that off the backstop,
Yeah, the backstop.
because he is doing the third base line too, he's working on that, so
Even
I don't
if
know
you
how
put
much
a
of that he's
small
taking
one
out.
there, Off the backstop, and just a little small one, it'll look nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, do we wanna take a vote on the 7 signs?
Sure.
Does anybody wanna make a motion?
I'll make a motion, that we, whatever we just approved, that we, I don't remember all the ones that you said, but the ones that we picked. Oh, you mean to
7
make,
signs.
okay,
To make
yes,
7
to
signs.
make 7 new signs.
large
I
ones
make a
for-
motion that we order 7 new signs with the new photos.
And what size? Because we
Um,
have 3 sizes.
Small.
This-
Well, no, I thought we cut it down to 2 sizes at the last
Yeah, we
meeting.
did,
24 by
whichever the
48.
small size we decided on.
48 by 48.
7, the small sizes, you said 7, I thought.
Yeah, 7, but what's the size of the small one?
48 by 48?
48 by 48 is the square.
So we all go all small.
Because the large is 36 by 72, well, we have some large ones we're gonna like repurpose.
The large ones are the 4x8, and then
36
I
by
thought the other
72.
ones were 4 foot by 3 foot or 2 foot?
Yeah, but they got new estimates.
Oh,
They got
for bigger?
48 by 48.
That's the older ones of that.
Yeah.
Do we wanna phase out using the big ones?
I like the big ones for the parks,
For
but
certain
yeah, the
things,
buildings.
Yeah.
But I mean, to order the new
Just
ones, I would,
yeah.
so
I don't know
why,
if that
yeah.
would kinda.
So I have a motion on the table to order 7 new signs, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 7 is the preservation consultant, update, discussion, and possible vote. We had created a working group last week. I mean, we knew this would be a rolling over kind of event. Tony, Jim, and John Frank Core are on that, and I'm gonna just roll this over to the next meeting, and hopefully we have some update on that. Item number 8 is the funding hearings. First up is Bowen Borden Cemetery marker. So if you wanna just state your name and affiliation.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gail Powers. I live at 731 Prospect Street, and I'm here representing a sign that I want to have installed at the Bowen Borden Cemetery on Purchase Street.
Has everybody looked through this application?
Yes, excellent idea.
If anybody wants to make comments on it, or questions, or Gail?
Just my comment, I know the historical commission was definitely in support of this, especially because the cemetery has ties to the Underground Railroad in the city, the family, and so it's definitely something that should be, people should have a marker to be aware of that, because I think in the city, there's just such a lack of knowledge that we even have this history, and that would be a really good way to do it.
One question. I like the sign a lot. My only question is it possible for a local company to do?
If you can find me a local company, I'll be happy to entertain it.
I'm not finding it. I'm just
I've
asking.
actually looked into, into other companies. I've actually had quotes from 3 different companies that do these type of historic markers. I think I included in the packet some pictures of other cities. The 3 companies that I found one was from Erie, Pennsylvania, one was from San Antonio, Texas, and the other from Bloomsville, New York. So,
That was my only question. Listen, I like.
So I tried-
like the
I've
design,
tried.
The quality of the one you proposed. I just have a preference to try to support.
if I could find a local, more localer,
But almost,
we can.
to me,
That's
to
what-
me,
that's
to me,
what I was asking.
what I almost think would, if you went to a local sign company, I think they would outsource.
They probably would.
So it wouldn't be the
Probably
same
would,
thing,
yeah.
you're just gonna pay extra because you have a middleman now. Right, I would assume.
But I've
You know?
researched it several times and Googled it in all kinds of different
Yeah.
ways, and the same companies keep coming up. I mean, at some point, you can't contact 15 companies.
I'm just
but-
thinking that it's gonna be outsourced by a local company to find the sign and just gonna pay extra for that middleman, I would think.
Well, I wouldn't suggest to pay more.
No, I know, but but that's what would happen.
Just asking the question. Wouldn't it be nice in a perfect world to give our local businesses business when we can? That's all I'm asking.
Yep.
Unless somebody wants to start a sign company, I'll be the first customer.
Well, it's more than a sign.
John,
company.
are you ready?
It's like a casting.
Like, well, casting going on.
Can't we do that in a baking mold?
We can, yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I think since Mr.
Just can't do
Soul
that in
is
a mold?
really into this, Mr. Soul should be the one that starts the company.
I have to say, but the whole application is like extremely well written, documented, with all of our questions
It is.
answered, with quotes galore. I mean,
It
this
is.
this application is how all CPA applications should come to us.
Thank you.
There's really,
Very
I have
amazing.
no questions because there's so much information. Every board, every department that needs to be contacted and supported is here, so.
Letters of support were,
It's a great
there's lot,
application.
yes.
Now, what are your future plans for after you get the sign in? Are you gonna look at maybe restoring some gravestone markers? or-
Well, I've had a lot of people approach me since I've started this project about what's the next step. I'm starting small with one sign so I can understand the whole process. I thought originally that I could just do this on my own a little bit, but then, because the cemetery is not owned by the city nor the church, so it's owned by the Bowen family, Bowen Borden family, that doesn't exist or doesn't do anything as far as its upkeep. But in all fairness, the park department wants to put this through the PDFs, what is it?
RFP process.
RFPs, whatever those letters are, and go through that process, and I'm willing to do that, and I figured by one sign, I'll be able to learn what this process is, and hopefully, I'm the one that's gonna follow it through, so I don't have to dump it onto the city. Because I understand that the city gets lots of projects, and it's difficult for them to follow these through to fruition. So, part of this is that I'll learn the process and hopefully help the process for more of these things. I'm looking at other cemeteries in the city. I've already walked through all of them, possibly putting up a sign in each of those, or other aspects of the city. We kept, one of the big things in my application was talking about tourism and bringing people in to be here to see stuff. This will be stuff to see. Doing maybe locations or buildings or areas, or there's lots of other things that has possibilities for the city to start some groundbreaking things for tourism, so that people could come and follow the Underground Railroad through some of these signs, or go through a cemetery tour and go through the city-maintained cemeteries, 7 of them, believe it or not, and there's others that aren't even maintained that are in the area. So there's other aspects of, I think, what I want to do in the future, but I just want to kind of put one under my belt and let's see what happens. But I think it's just something that's great, that's going to encourage tourism and encourage the school systems to go down there and learn a little bit about us, the history of the city.
Sounds good.
Can I ask a question to you? No.
One.
What signs, what, can I ask you?
Yeah.
You got contact with 3 local sign companies,
Not
right?
local.
No?
No, Pennsylvania, Texas, and New York.
Try, any local sign companies?
Well, we just talked about that. I have not found someone that's,
Yeah.
I mean, I've,
Yeah, just wondering if you reach out, like.
if you knew someone, I'd be more than happy.
Cast iron sign.
It's a cast iron sign, so it's not,
Cast iron, yeah, and it's got aluminum based, it's aluminum.
yeah,
based,
that's
right?
one of the companies
Yeah,
that
see,
responded
what
back
I'm
to me.
looking
That's
at
their,
here, there's a lot of fabricators just around there that can do that, not to get smart.
no,
There's a
I mean,
sign- what?
I'd be happy to hear what company that would do that. I'm just not aware of
I got a
it.
guy in work that will fabricate this.
All right, follow that
Jail.
information
I'll
along.
write a letter to the sheriff. I got a fabricator, I'll duplicate that, but the sign part, the aluminum part, I was just wondering if there's a local sign company like Signature Sign in Westport or something like that, to tap their brain. I imagine you could have one there
Well,
like that.
to be
Oh,
honest,
two-sided.
if we fund this application, once it's done, it's gonna be a city-owned project that's gonna have to go through the RFP process. So whatever city person is taking care of this is gonna have to put out a request for proposals. Sign companies will come if they're interested in applying for it, and if not, we
Because
will.
I can see that being made, and Chris even knows that, just, the pipe and stuff.
Yeah.
I know it can be fabricated here. There's companies there, but the sign part, one of the sign companies could actually make that on aluminum.
Well, they will respond to the RFP?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we may find a company that can do
Yeah.
that then.
I'm
It's
just
just
saying.
not something that
I'm just saying, to go all the way to Pennsylvania and make these ones.
Yeah.
Some local guy will take this. and
Well, maybe I can get funds from the
fabricate it.
CPA, I can go on a road trip. That'd be part of it,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
travel.
No, no,
All right, thank you.
Oh, you wanna talk, Chris?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
There's a company in Bridgewater, Alloy Castings. They do all of our aluminum streetlights and stuff like that. They make castings of all of our lights to turn them into aluminum that were cast iron, that they took castings of and made. So if we could make maybe a casting from a machine shop, could actually make a template or a stamp or something, that the aluminum company could actually probably do a casting that aluminum, they're a foundry for aluminum. I don't know, there's another foundry around, it's, I think in Massachusetts, that does like cast iron, it's a regular foundry. They make the sewer covers and all of that stuff. Again, if you give them a template of something, they could probably make it if you hadn't made it.
Well, I appreciate your comments. I'm gonna really, she's here to explain
Yeah, yeah.
what she's
No,
doing, not go
no.
out and like fabricate a sign. That's not her job.
Okay.
So the RFP, I mean, we could go on, who's doing the roofing company for the, I don't know, did you pick all Fall River, roofing companies for the,
Right.
I mean, we could go on and on and on. Should we just do a roofing company from Fall River for the library? I mean, but Gail's here to explain what she did. The process will go on with the funding if we go through it with the request. So, does anybody have any questions relevant to Gail?
Sorry, I overdid it. but I know
It's okay.
maybe somebody can make it.
I appreciate your comments.
If you need a template, make it easy.
Okay.
I'll help you out.
Any other questions?
Once the RFP goes out, have those companies
We haven't
go
even
through the
awarded
process,
this.
so, exactly.
We
We're not
haven't
even close.
awarded this yet either, may I add.
Sounds like Charlie's making me a sign. What do you mean? I'm pretty happy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
I got it till they do it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is Quequechan Rail Trail.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission,
Could you state your name, please? Just your name and address, please.
Alfred Lima, 488 Hood Street in Fall River.
So Al's here for the extension of the Quequechan River Rail Trail to the Westport Town Line, and there's a, part of it is also for installation of some benches and some trees, I believe, along the trail,
Yes.
along the current trail. So if anybody, do you want to explain any more than what you have in the application, or?
No, I just want to explain what the letter that you got from the city planner related to the breakdown of how he wanted to work on
We
it.
received that today, so this is a letter we received today from Bill Roth, our city planner. He's in support of this project and he actually just gave his support on the part of the project that will do the design part of the extension of the trail. He's
Right.
not so much it's not that he's not supportive, but he doesn't really, he's not going to be planting the trees or installing the
no.
benches. So his support is on the extension part of it.
Yes.
Correct? Which is good. Thank you. We have
And-
any
and he-
questions?
He just wanted to make sure that the extension would be his project, that he would
Yeah.
be in charge of that. And then the planting of the trees and placing of the benches would be part of the community maintenance project. And then the photos that would be under the underpass would be
Yeah.
a competitive project that would go out.
Do you want to add anything else to your application, or, I mean, it's...
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any questions for Al? Comments
So-
for Al?
On the park benches and the trees, that's, the city's giving you that, or is that under contract?
Yeah, the city would do that. There's also, Bill mentioned the possibility that we could use some of the trees that are available in the tree planting area in the south end. So some of the 80 trees that we have planted or presented to be planted would come from the tree planting area, the city's tree planting area, because they're trying to basically clear that out for some other purpose.
That's the one on Bay Street?
Yes.
Any other questions? Al, once the engineering and the permitting is done, how long will it actually take to finish off the trail? Any idea? Once the engineering and the permitting is all set up, how long will it take for them to actually finish that trail?
Well, Bill mentioned another thing which we hadn't really thought of. He said that the construction, there would be two things, one of which would be the design, the permitting, design, and construction, which would be what we are funding in this project. And then there's a construction part. You said that under the construction part, that could be funded by what we call the Transportation Improvement Program, or the TIP program, that the Mass Office of the Development has, the Transportation Plan has. And what they do is, he said this is such a small project, it'd be under about $300,000, that it could be fit into any number of different projects which have a surplus, big projects that have a surplus. So basically, he didn't see any problem in funding it through that area. So he felt great. I hadn't thought about that. So that was a great way of actually funding it, funding the construction fairly soon after the engineering plan is finished.
Now, this is just for the engineering part of it, not the construction part of it, or is it both?
Both.
As
Yeah.
well?
This one is just for the engineering part.
Just for the
Our application is for the permitting and engineering part.
Now, it's possible you might come back to us for the construction part of it, or?
No, we won't need to. We'll just go through the TIP program.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just for construction and engineering.
And we thought that might be a long process, but it could be fairly soon. We could go in next year and ask for construction funding to do the project. And given the fact that Westport's really quite involved now, the fact that we reached out to them and got a letter from them saying that we'd like to, have them give us a letter in support, which they did, and it got them quite excited about doing more, reaching out to Route 6 and crossing Route 6 and getting beyond where they were anyway, getting out to the railroad track that they want to
Because
do.
it will go up to that area where the railroad tracks?
Yeah, but it will only go so far, I think, up to, I forgot the name of the road, but the next main road that they have there.
The benches will match the ones that are already on the trail, kind of?
Yes.
Same
Mhm.
ones as that? And you
Yeah.
said the trees would possibly come from the fall of a tree?
Yes, some of the trees will come from that source. Yeah, we're not quite sure how many, but
Does that part of this project go through the RFP process for trees and all of that the same way?
Well, not for trees, because the trees we already own, we already have.
Yeah.
Benches, depending on the price tag of the benches, anything over 50,000 would require that type of solicitation. 50,000 and under requires 3 quotes, so you call companies that have and sell that type of bench, you could go and get 3
And it
quotes.
would be the same kind of benches that are already there?
Yeah, I would think that they would actually do and keep a standard.
Which I would hope it would be that way, rather than having different ones throughout the trail.
right,
Yeah.
You know?
It seems that they've kept it pretty consistent going
Yeah.
along.
yeah.
At what stage is Westport in on extending the trail through Westport?
They're just starting now. They haven't really gone very far. What they want to do is get together with us and sort of coordinate both our projects together
Yeah.
in some way. So I think we'll proceed based on what we feel we need to do. They have a longer type
They're
of project to
finally
implement.
receptive to the idea.
I beg pardon?
They're finally receptive to the idea,
Yeah, they really didn't have that much interest before, but all of a sudden
which is
they're,
good. I mean, it's just gonna
they're
like,
enthused.
once they're, get on board with it, I mean, it's just gonna make the trail really be an extensive ride, which
Yeah,
is great.
yeah. I should say the same thing happened with the town of Tiverton also. We reached out to Tiverton and asked them, told them what we were wanting to do with the Mount Hope Bay Greenway, and they formed a committee and got quite excited about the whole idea and really have gotten,
Moving along with
and
it.
they applied to the state to get their feasibility funding. So they're getting excited too. So
That's great.
we're
Yeah. Good.
getting some good things happening.
Do you have any other questions or comments for Al? Thanks, Al.
Yeah, thank you.
The next application is for the boat ramp at the city.
Good evening, folks.
Again. Do you have anything, I don't know if everybody looked at this application already, do you have anything you want to add into what you have written?
No, other than this was a project that we had put in last year, the year before, and that we had to, I think it was this and a couple other projects that were put off to the back burner, and then, so we're reapplying for it this year. We're able to, the Taunton River Coalition is given like a $12,000 grant to us, stuff like that for this. I think it's going to increase. I mean, anybody that goes down to the Bicentennial Park and see, the people that are going in the water all the time. We've added stuff down there and cameras and that. You've got the waterfront with the Veterans Park. You now have, the Remy's that's over there that brings in a good crowd. People are coming in and out. So to maybe put in some docks over there to, allow that traffic to flow a little bit better. A lot of people sometimes have to wait because somebody's got a boat in the water, they tie it up, they gotta go up, get their truck, come back. So it takes a little bit of time. Anybody knows it takes a little bit of time to put a boat on a trailer or take it off a trailer. So being able to have another spot where you could do 2 at a time kind of makes it real helpful.
Any questions for?
How long's the boat ramp? How long?
What's existing there, I think it's 70 feet, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was 70 feet. That follows the other dock, that follows the same piece that's there. I want to say there's 7 sections, a 10-foot a section or something like that.
Just the one thing about, issue about it being state property, not the city's property.
Yeah, it's state but city run. The city runs the boat ramps. They're put in by the state. They work with the Army Corps of Engineers and things of that. That's who's will actually do all of the design work, and that is actually done by them. It's actually completed. We actually just do the work. So the state does a lot of that. It is state-run, but it's state-owned, but city-run. We do all of the boat ramps in the city. They own them. We run them.
Did you get a letter from them?
We have not. It was a little tough to get in touch with them. They agreed. This was the last year. They've agreed to allow us to do all of this, but we did not get a letter. I can get one.
That would be good.
Yep.
I was looking in the application under the funding thing. I know last year you applied for that marine fisheries grant.
Yes, I won't be able to apply for that until again towards the end of August, September.
So if this project was funded and then the funds became available in like August,
July.
September,
July.
like would you be able to apply for it right then
Yeah.
and there and possibly get that money?
Yep.
And then like subsidize this with that?
Yep.
Is that a matching grant or? No?
I think that particular one is. I think that particular
So if
one.
that came in and they awarded it, that would be $15,000 less.
And then we have the 12,000 that we have for the Taunton River Coalition.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely, I would like to see it, that the state is on board, it's their property. I know we got a rejection letter from the park board on this, because they.
Yeah, it wasn't theirs. It wasn't their property,
So
yeah.
I would like to see one that is in, acceptance. by-
Yeah, we had it from the first time. I just don't know what happened to it. I didn't find it, so we would, I reached out to Mr. Smith, who is the harbor master, to contact them.
So all of Bicentennial Park is a state park?
I don't believe all of it is. The boat ramp is, the Heritage Park side is, the trails and the sidewalks are ours. The park, the Bicentennial Park is ours.
Okay.
That's ours.
So all the statues and the monuments?
All of that is ours. Yeah, that's all ours.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, item D is the Fall River Public Library, and we'll bypass that one because we awarded the emergency funds for this.
Yes.
Next up is the Copacut Reserve acquisition.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good.
Just go through your name and address or affiliation. with our department.
Yep, Paul Furlan, Deputy Administrator of Community Utilities.
Michael Bossier. I am the city's project manager for the watershed forest. I'm a forester and also our liaison to the Southeastern Mass Bioreserve Partners.
So you received this application for the Copacut Reserve Watershed Protection Project. Do you have anything you want to add to this application?
Well, first of all, thank you for your past support. This project is the next in line, if you will, of what's been sort of a diligent scouting of properties that we could enhance protection of the water supply in the bioreserve forest. And just a little bit of a recap. When the bioreserve was first established, there was over $2 million that was put into a fund to expand the bioreserve footprint, to buy in holdings within the bioreserve. Most of that has been done, and a lot of that was done in Freetown and Lakeville. Right now, the bioreserve is over 16,000 acres in size, and it reaches, includes a little bit of Dartmouth, Fall River, Freetown, and Lakeville. But this is a parcel that, 16-acre parcel that is, part of it's within 500 feet of the Copacut Reservoir. The Copacut watershed, as it states in the application, is about 92% protected, which is a phenomenal statistic for Massachusetts-based, surface drinking water supplies. And this parcel is one of the last of the privately owned undeveloped parcels, and we have an opportunity to acquire it. So when we applied for eligibility, we sought the full amount. The full amount at the time wasn't really known. We did a best guess, but since then we've done an appraisal. We know it's a little bit more than that. But since then, we've also applied for a second grant. So we're hopeful that the Drinking Water Supply Protection Grant, which is a state EOEA grant, we're hopeful that we may actually get that grant, which will then diminish the amount we're looking for. So I've sort of prepared two different sort of bites at it. The one is for full funding, and the second is for the possibility that we get the grant, which could be as much as $200,000.
So that would be true, like, so it would only end up needing $170,000 from.
Yes.
See, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and that's a philosophy that we certainly want to do whenever we do land conservation. We want to do money conservation as far as, you know, our own resources and the city's resources. So anytime we can find a leveraging kind of a grant, we're always vigilant to look for that.
Now, if this lot of property isn't acquired, I see the for sale sign in the picture, like, this could actually be sold to a private person and.
It's on the market right now.
To be developed as.
Yes.
Homes.
Yes. Right. I mean, maybe our good fortune is that the market's kind of low right now, and it's off season, and you know,
Yeah.
this is an opportunity.
How long has it been on sale for?
Sometime in the middle of last year, I think.
Yeah, it's been on the market for a little while. Just before that, they actually received a variance to subdivide the full property into smaller parcels.
So we're sort of a race. It's a race with time.
Yeah.
We're going to hear. I spoke a week or two ago with the Boston agency, and they should have a decision by March. So I don't know when this decision comes
For
in.
the DWSP
Yes.
grant?
Yeah.
Well, this decision will be made probably at the end of March timeframe.
So time-wise, we may have
Just the right.
two
yeah.
converging pieces of information.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how many properties are left to buy down there? Is it 92 and this was the last big one?
So I said 92%, and this is the last. So we've got two watersheds. We've got the North Watuppa Pond. We've got the Copacut. But this is virtually the last one. I mean,
The last large parcel.
the last large parcel.
This is the one we leave for Monopoly, right?
Monopoly, yeah.
This
So.
is Park Place.
So it's
it.
important because it's in the drinking water,
Yeah.
you know, so this represents taking, in this case, it would probably be 3 private septic systems and the accompanying traffic and nitrogen from lawn fertilizers and things like that. And this is real watershed protection.
Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for the photos too. It's nice to see what kind of, you know, I mean, not that I know where it is, but.
Well, when we
Gives you an idea of what
Yeah.
when we close on it, we'll do a tour for the commission, for the committee.
Again, I have to still commend you on your work that you do out there with your walks. I know there was one this past Saturday and,
Oh, can I do a free plug for that? Did everybody get one of these, by the way?
Yeah.
Including people who weren't
can
here?
do a free plug
Could I?
for that.
Yeah.
I got one of those photos.
All right. So the walk that was meant to be on Martin Luther King Day, I don't know if you remember, it was like 15 degrees with a wind chill or whatever. So that could actually postpone till President's Day, so it's still available.
Is there some place that, like, the citizenry can find out these walks that are going on? Like, what is the community outreach on that, or what is even the social media aspect?
Well, Green Futures often will advertise them. There's a couple of other clearinghouse sort of places. Buzzards Bay Coalition, who's been a partner on some of
Hey,
our
just so
things.
the public knows, I mean, Green Futures, like Mike says, I went on one of the walks last year. Hopefully I get to go on it again this year. They're great, but I mean, there's a lot of active recreational usage going on out there, and like we save, you know, we helped save some properties last year, and it's not just like we just want the people are using this land that's being acquired.
Yeah,
So,
they really are, in a lot of different ways. So Coalition for Buzzards Bay, there's a meetup group. This is not my generation, but there's a younger group that is now sort of is a percolating interest.
Yeah.
So the meetup group is out there maybe once or twice a week, actually.
Because I think people might think like, oh, well, just by buying land, but it's being used. It's recreational use also.
Yeah, I mean, and actually,
It's protection, watershed protection, it's recretional use.
it's multiple use. Hunting season has just ended, but I mean, we had, there's a lot of different kind of hunting that happens out there.
Yeah.
Mountain biking.
Trail riding.
Trail riding.
Yeah.
There's a lot of regulars.
Not motor, is it motor trail, motor?
Well, our land, the water department's land is just mountain bike.
Yeah.
There is a closed loop motorized dirt bike trail in the Freetown Forest. It's really not on our watershed.
But yeah, I mean, just so the public knows, I mean, this is land that's utilized and obviously we're protecting.
Correct. It's a very big area that's connected. We have, as Mike just said, the Freetown State Forest is directly connected into a spot of the bioreserve. Dartmouth has conservation land that's directly connected to all of ours. Again, that's all used by the public.
It's easy to get in to our area from New Bedford, where it's going through Fall River.
Some spots, yes.
Well,
I'm just saying.
We recommend people come in from Route 195.
Yeah.
You come in exit 9 or
Main
11.
road.
Yeah.
And there's a number of parking lots,
Yeah.
safe parking lots. People
No, I
can park.
have friends that live in Marion. They use those trails. They tell me they walk those trails with their dog and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's amazing the way they come. And it's a younger group, like you said. It's a real younger group. So young people are doing it. Like 26 to 30.
If you hear from that DWSP grant, or whenever you do, I mean, that'll definitely be influential on this if you did get it. I mean, obviously, we're gonna debate it even if we don't, but I mean, if you did, that's definitely a feather in your cap to share with us once you do know.
I will notify you immediately. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you. You can stay here. The next item is the pumping station plans.
Thank you very much.
We like pictures. We like pictures.
Just tell 1,000 words. So what I just passed out to you was actually a poster that was done when we did the original feasibility study of the 1875 pump station back in 2011. We've done multiple projects. On the poster upper right-hand corner is the 1875 pump station, 1873 pump station, 1875 tower on the left-hand side. We've done multiple projects on both the pump station and the standpipe tower for stabilization. Those buildings were last pumped water out of them in 1972, and since then they were kind of left to the wayside. We've seen the historic nature of these buildings, and we've been trying to work to stabilize them. Mass Historical has provided us with multiple grants for these projects that we've done for the stabilization. We're kind of at the point, though, with this project where we need to take it to the next step. So the main building of the pump house, the roof, and the structure is now stabilized. The coal room off to the side, the long building that runs down the side of it, that stabilizes the roof and the structure. There's additional masonry work that needs to be done and additional work that needs to be done there. An old area in the back of the pump house was demolished. It was an old machine shop that was added on in the 50s, but it really wasn't structurally conducive to either the building or the soundness of the construction was really deteriorating, so we felt it best to take that section down. On the standpipe tower, we've repaired sections of the roof that were blown off. We've rehabilitated the windows all the way up the standpipe tower, and we actually removed all the planking from the top catwalk, but we left all the railings and all the bracketry intact, just for safety. We didn't want somebody going up there, going out the window, thinking it was safe to walk out there, and it's really not. So that's why we did that on that building. So, like I said, we've kind of stabilized these buildings. But we're at the point now where we need a vision to continue to move forward with our project. The next step is what was proposed to you, to go move forward and work on design and architectural plans for the full build-out of this building. The overall vision, and I think some of the board members have received the feasibility study in the past, and as I said, if you don't have it, we can provide a copy to all the board members. But there was multiple visions in the feasibility study. One involved turning it into a brewery, which we don't think is the best use. One of our visions is to be able to have some offices down there for water department staff to be able to move down there, whether it be our administrative staff or our water maintenance facility staff. Our treatment plant is still just to the north of this building too, so it would be administrative space for us. We also want to create a museum. I think some of you have actually been for a tour in the building. Correct. And
I know many of the board members are new. Did you go on the tour?
I helped you build that
So I'm
in the 70s.
Yeah.
So I did tour, I went to the top of the tower, I toured the entire facility.
Yeah, and we'd be more than happy to do another tour for any members that want to attend.
Awesome. Really good.
Yeah, but the original steam engine, one of the original steam engines, is still in place. There's a Worthington diesel engine, which was one of the later engines, but it's still a beautiful piece of history. So we wanted to kind of turn the main room into office space, clerical space, and then almost museum. I don't know if anybody's been to the Waterworks Museum up near Boston, but they refurbished the engines, turned it into a beautiful museum up there. They got a lot of money from a developer that wanted to develop all their preservation land. That's how they got their money to do it.
And what do they do with it? Like, is it a daily working museum?
Nope. So they don't use the reservoir that their museum was built on is not used anymore, because they get all their water from the Quabbin Reservoir, which is in Weston, Mass. So it was a defunct station at the time, so that's why they didn't need to preserve the land anymore, and the station's not working anymore. But they do tours of it, and everything gets open, I believe, daily to the public for tours.
Jim, was your question about the building itself? What do they do with it?
No, about, like, can people go to that museum?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
like Paul said, it's open, and there's a community room in it for a pretty good size. So you could actually have quite nice meetings in the upstairs community room, and they even have a like profit side. They do weddings and things like that, because it's that beautiful. It's shiny, it's refurbished, it's historic, and it's on a very nice grounds as well. So for photography purposes and for entertaining. Not necessarily the vision we have here, but I mean, it speaks to the potential of
So
the
what's
beautiful
the
architecture.
potential of the public having access to that building in
Yep.
any
Yep.
way?
So getting through, so that was the main engine room. We have the long coal room area, and then there's an old boiler room in the back, which used to house the boilers. Those two rooms would make, in my opinion, very nice meeting rooms. Our idea is kind of to be able to have public meeting spaces down there for the public, or CPC or any other board, city board, that wants to have meetings down there, be able to have that space available. Almost like you go to Heritage State Park, they have the nice auditorium there, many presentations there. This could be another spot where any group would be able to hold presentations.
Specific time of the, like it would only be on certain hours, correct, though?
Well, the building would be open every day. Our expectation would be while water department staff is on site. So we'd be talking either a 9 to 5 or 7 to 3.
Whereas
That
I could just drive up to it and go inside.
go inside, look around, go there, pay your water bill.
Or not.
So that would be when it was open, but then we'd allow where we would be able to schedule, groups to be able to go in there. We have a full-time watchman attendant, the plant to the north, which is now the treatment plant for the city, constructed in 1972. That's staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by an operator and a watchman attendant. So there could be some type of something worked out where if a late meeting wanted to be held there, we wouldn't have any objection to it. We'd definitely be holding our water board and our sewer commission meetings there as well. It would be a beautiful spot to have that.
Across from the tower, the building across from the tower is what?
Right, so that's the water maintenance building right now. We're actually in the process right now of designing a new water maintenance facility, which is actually going to be to the north of that building, behind that building, which will have new garage spaces and a new administration area within that building.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yep.
That building, so, it used to be, it was Henry Deppen, he was in charge of it. He was like foreman. And one time he showed me the civil defense thing. He was cellar. He would lift up the flooring.
Mhm.
That main room where they had the lockers, you know how you come in?
Yep,
The center of it?
yep.
Right there, by the windows, looking at Bedford Street, there was a thing where, a trap door, you open it up, and there was a civil defense thing down there with the ear things and
Oh, well.
how they used to do the mosque. It was a whole civil defense setup down there.
Oh, well.
I don't know if it's still there.
Yeah, I've been through that building extensively, pretty recent, and I haven't noticed that, but,
You never opened that latch up and lift the floor up?
no, check it out. But yeah, so our plan is actually to, that building is definitely seen its better days. That one has
Yeah.
some real difficulties to it, so we're planning on building a new facility and then probably raise that structure.
How old is that structure? Same time it built, or?
Nope, that was built in the 30s. So it was definitely a later construction, and the architecture's totally different, as you can see. Brick rather than the Roman Gothic that this.
The new building they're planning on building it, do they have any design elements to it that would kind of like give it an old feel, like to kind of be in, not to say you're gonna make it out of granite, but I mean, do they, is it gonna be something that's kind of a little bit more aesthetically pleasing in the area with the old, or not?
No, so this is gonna be set to the north in the wooded property behind it, so we're planning, you have that steep slope that currently goes up to the building. Thought would be that it would be far enough away with it, it's gonna be typically more of a modern space metal building, just cost of construction, so that makes it affordable. Gotta think all the water ratepayers pay for, not only this construction we've done on the 1875 so far, but also construction of any of our new facilities, so.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but I mean, I always kind of like wish things would like be cohesive a little bit more, as opposed to just like a, throw stuff, four metal walls and like a roof.
Yes, something I've talked about with the architects, so we are under contract with designer right now, is there's those nice granite steps that currently lead up to the building and stuff,
my only-
repurposing those.
My thought would be like if they could possibly add in some, elements to the front of it that would make, not to make it out of granite, but I mean, hopefully it would be, if we're preserving this and trying to keep it because of the way it looks, I would hope like kind of new things look like they sort of fit in a little bit.
Well, I agree, but I think that, you don't have to have a granite structure for it to be a complementary structure.
Right, correct.
Just being aesthetically,
Complementary.
historically sensitive. Something as simple as red cedar shingle, which is a lot more money than metal, but a lot more, especially if there's any thought that there could be functions here, people are using
Right.
this site in general for
Yeah, 'cause
photography or for events.
My thought is if we're using this for community preservation, like we're trying to preserve what's there, I mean, that cohesiveness and that, I don't know, that would just be a request I would have with the architect, if they could,
Okay.
as opposed to just a metal fabbed, corrugated, four sides with a corrugated roof. Something nicer than that, I think would, if we're spending money on this, might as well make the other facilities look complementary.
Complementary.
Anyway. The tower too, like, what would be the public access to this tower? And, you know what I mean, would anybody be able to tour that tower, or what's the
So,
plan on that?
I think we would have any issues right now doing tours going up the tower with the general public, just for safety reasons. I think who's been up there, it is safe to go up, but it's a very long
It is, yeah.
spiral staircase. Actually, there was just a
Somebody
nice,
might get winded by the top.
yeah, there was a nice article just recently in the newspaper about this, the Herald News. So, and there was one picture showing the staircase going up. But yeah, I think that would kind of just stay off limits, going all the way up just because of that
It is
issue.
spectacular from the top.
Yeah, it is.
But even just having, I guess my concern with this, so it's quite a bit of money. And I love the idea of preserving the buildings, but my issue with this is, CPA is supposed to be also for things that are gonna benefit the community. And right now, I can't even step onto that property without getting kicked off, because I tried to go there one day to take pictures just of the outside of the tower, and I was asked to leave. So, can you kind of explain to me how, there's gonna be a benefit to the greater community for spending this much money, and how they really will have access when right now I can't even step on that property?
Yeah, and I think it's more of a long-term vision that we have to be able to get the community there. Yes, it's understanding right now we have limited access to those areas. If somebody from the public calls us and wants to schedule to come in, take pictures, or every year on Easter, there's a church that comes down there and does a sunrise mass over by the pump station, we'll allow, supervised visits like that. So it's, if it's somebody that's unexpected to be there, yes, both of the police and our staff is kind of asked to escort them off the property, because nobody knows that who's supposed to be there and who's not supposed to be there. So I think in the long-term vision, getting the public down there is where we need to look. The immediate help to the public is,
Off limits.
yeah, exactly, and that's something that, yeah, definitely.
That's kind of where my
Yeah.
hesitation is in that, is,
But the beginning of this, the feasibility and architectural study is gonna get there.
Correct. The feasibility has already been done. This is to advance the architectural design plans to a point where we're ready to go to bid. Where we want to get, where this project is going to take us is going to pretty much design out the full build-out. Problem that we're at now, we have the building stabilized, and I really don't want to go any further with the outside, either pointing, fixing windows or stuff like that, till we figure out how the building is actually going to be designed interior, because you need to design ingress, egress, lighting, windows, additional stuff. So, I don't want to put money into masonry now that's going to be taken down, in
Long
a
term,
couple years.
if the architectural design plans were done and the building, gets restored.
Yep.
I mean, the plan is to, public will be able to be there.
Oh, yes, without a doubt. As I said, and it'll be, on, meetings, people want to schedule meetings, the building would be available. We'd make it so that it would be open during the day, as, a lot of the other buildings that money's put into, they're not open 24 hours a day, but they're open, certain hours when people are there, so
Okay.
that's kind of where we are. So, we do have another project, the little picture up the top there is actually the screen house, that's the screen house out in the water. We're actually just signing contracts to do a stabilization project on that now. So, it's something that the water department is really committed to continuing on, trying to get this to a point where it is usable for everybody.
Yeah, that's I'll just, what Kristen said is the long-term goal of having public access would be where my mind goes, even with funding this project, because
Yep.
to fund it and be isolated from it, not be able to be a part of this ever,
Correct.
Don't get me wrong, it's a spectacular building.
It is.
To see it inside, outside, I loved the tour. It was great going to the top of the tower, the entire thing. But I think public access is important in using this money.
See, I've never even seen the inside of anything. The only thing I got to see was I got to take one picture of the tower, and then they came and they
You look like a criminal, so.
so, yeah, but it was really
Okay, any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for the photos.
No problem.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody wants, we can like plan another tour of this facility too. You know, it really is spectacular, I mean, and to be down in it, it's
Oh,
really
it's-
amazing.
yeah, it
And
is.
even to be in top of the tower is like,
Nope, if you want to schedule anything, let me know, and we
Okay.
can schedule something.
all right,
Thanks, guys.
all right, thank you.
We do the Sunday.
All right, we'll do it maybe maybe like March timeframe or
When
something.
it warms up a little bit.
Yeah. So that was,
Dreary right now.
item number F, so that's the end of the funding hearings for today. The next meeting is 11th, yeah, February 11th.
Is that a Thursday?
That I don't know. Is it Monday? Oh, yeah, we did them all on Mondays, yeah.
Oh, good.
It's in this room.
So, do we want to put the signs back on, just an update on the signs for the next meeting? You know, as far as speaking with the sign company, we'll put the preservation consultant back on and see if there's an update or discussion of anything with the working group there. And then the next round of funding hearings, do we want to add anything else onto the meeting next time?
Niagara.
Yeah. The what?
The Niagara Bike Path.
Okay, oh yeah, yes, sorry, yeah. Just like a vote for that, yeah, because there's gonna be
The language.
language change.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And any other things, anybody want to add on, or, okay? Could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.